Now, what's the status of your biography? Autobiography, I mean.
Oh, nobody wants to do another. Nobody wants to check out a biography right now. I think I need to be a little more decrepit or something. And go, well, now that half of my jaw is gone, I think I'm ready to talk. Yeah, well, I had to get my left fucking testicle was growing like some sort of a tripe with hands on it. Yeah, and imagine that. I didn't take the booster shot. Yeah, I'm not ready for it. I don't. I don't see it as somebody is gonna run out and go. Hey, have you all heard that fucking London? That singer put out a fucking book or some fucking biography on him. They would shit. There would be a lot of people fucking not wanting me to speak. That would be the deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. There's so much dirt, it'd be scary.
Well, hopefully maybe one day it'll come out and I'll pick it up.
Well, yeah, one day when there's a time and all that, and, it'll be it will be my USB drive box set. It'll be like a fucking chiclets container. There you go.
All right.
The whole set's right in there. Shove it in your fucking car.
Now, was anything recorded for the project you were supposed to work on with Frank Benelli back in the day?
Oh no, I was not. I was never in talks with Frankie Benelli to do anything. Frankie Benelli was a friend. I actually knew Frankie Benelli from way back. I was, like I said, I was younger and all that. So, but I didn't, I didn't really have anything planned to work with Frankie Benelli. No, I was, looking forward to working with Chris Holmes a few years back when he was still living in Los Angeles, and I mean in LA, and it was during this NAMM back in 2018 or something, or 17. But other than that, I haven't really gotten to talk to anyone about doing anything other than the guys that I play with. Unless you heard something, tell me. What did you hear? What's the dirt? What fucking lies are out there? Give me the dirt.
Now, did your funk band Word, Assassin, Exclude, Thunderbolt, and VVS, who you were the drummer for, record any material?
Okay, so the VVSI was a high school band that I joined as a drummer. And I don't know how I ended up out of the band, but I ended up out of the band. And then Thunderbolt was a band that I joined in Orange County, California. And that was some guys from Santa Maria, California, who were a band already of 3-piece. And they were really tight, but they were older guys than me. But I got fired out of that band, I believe, because I was a little too dark and too much screaming and high notes and shit like that. I was going through my Judas Priest period. And then which one's the other one?
Exclude?
Exude.
Exclude, yes, that's it.
To exude. Yes, that was during my high school era too, and I played drums on that band. And that was a band that were two brothers from from Mackinac, Michigan. And there were more, no guitars, just keyboards and a bass and a lead singer and me on drums. And they eventually ended up getting really, popular during the KROQ, new wave thing with Dead the Fish and all that stuff back in the day. And that was a long time ago. Yeah, that's before London. I was also in Vertigo. In Vertigo, it was right before I joined London. I mean, I lasted maybe a year and a half with Vertigo, and then I ended up in London.
And Vertigo did do some demos and live shows, actually, though, correct?
Vertigo did some demos. I don't have the demos, but yeah, there are some demos. A little rough, but yeah, they are. They were old demos from, a studio I don't even remember. And then, but other than that, there's not much, not much.
Gotcha. What about
I
Assassin
have
and
a
Word?
lot of great stuff with Lizzie that's sitting in my closet that I need to go through, and that I need to transfer because it's all sitting on metallic cassettes. So I have a lot of stuff that a lot of unreleased things that I could be going into and dipping into that and putting out some great shit too. So I'm working on it.
Maybe a box set.
A box of cassettes. People are buying them.
They are.
They're buying them, and not only that, they sell you a cassette player that you can USB it. Like easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's already, yeah, it's insane. How people are buying fucking cassettes. I'm like blown away by it. I have tons of them. I have brand new boxes, shrink wrap from the Beatles to Sinatra to Al Green to all these great things that I'm, just sitting on, and everyone's just buying these things like, like they're like new, like, oh, you heard of cassettes? I'm like, oh my God, what's this generation? What's going on? They just discovered vinyl. Shit's been around for years.
How is the experience of working with real Siberian wolves for Don't Cry Wolf?
That was killer. It was great. It was called Hollywood Animal Actors, and we hired them to do the photos with famed porn photographer Clive McLean, who worked for the Larry Flint publications, their Culver City studio. We brought two big Siberian wolves. There was a black one that was younger, and then of course the main guy we ended up using on Don't Cry Wolf. And that guy basically was in a movie called In Company of Wolves, which was out in the 80s. It was a big box set, a big box release. And so we ended up hiring him because he was gorgeous and he was massive. And you had to have 3 trainers, and they all had like these pouches with meat in them and a stick, and then the tranquilizer, and then they had a fencing that went around the studio, made out of just thin wire, nothing intrusive. It had a perimeter that they cover, and the only people who could be inside of that perimeter was me, the wolf, the photographer, the assistant, and the 3 trainers. And they had to build a platform so they can secure the wolf. And if you notice on Don't Cry Wolf, there's a little metallic little strip that you see coming down his neck, and that is actually a steel wire that was around his neck that was basically hooked against the platform on the floor that was painted blue. So they built the flooring with a hook on it, and the wolf was hooked to that, and I would just stand behind it and pose. I mean, there's photos somewhere with all that, but so that was pretty cool, and the experience was really unique because I had never worked with that kind of an animal until you're in front of it and you see the size of it and you're going, oh shit. It's big, it's a huge wolf, and I'm a twig, so I would be just like a little gazelle bite for him. So it was real thrilling to be there and having them and all that. That was an extravagant cost, but we wanted to do it.
Very awesome. Now, Gene Maros was the assistant engineer on Van Halen's Fair Warning and, of course, engineered London's Don't Cry Wolf album. Did Gene tell you any really cool Van Halen stories?
Did Gene tell Gene Maros say any stories to me?
Yeah, any good Van Halen stories from when he was involved with Fair Warning?
No, he never spoke about Van Halen. He was such a really serious person, and so for me working with him at that time, we were sitting in a studio that was costing us a lot of money, and we're also we have Kim Fowley there working for us because we're paying him to be there. And it was always a situation when we were working with Kim, It could be funny, it could be stressful, it depends, But Gene was always on top of the engineering part of it, and I appreciated that because we needed something like this. We needed Don't Cry Wolf to be, sonically up to par, in comparison to having a less budget and less, resources on Don't Cry on Nonstop Rock. But we were at a better studio with a great engineer. We had Kim there, and but in reality, it was a lot of work, and we went through a lot of shit, especially tracking drums and keeping the fellow straight to get it done, and not spending all the money on studio time, because studio time back then, you got to remember, it was very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
You can say that you were at the record plant, and who's paying for it? You know what I mean? or you can go to Track Record in the Valley. In Glendale where we were at. But that was like where Billy Idol cut the record and all this shit. And I'm like, oh yeah, well we're paying less than would pay somewhere else. Then with the same type of equipment and room and all that. So we were always looking for that deal. But it still cost a lot of money. But we never really got to sit down and talk to Gene about stories or anything. I think he was there to paid to do the job, and he has dealt. Think about it. He had done Fair Warning at Sunset Sound, and here he's dealing with London, who's a Hollywood band, and they just got done working with Van Halen, which you can imagine that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Their budgets, their people surrounding them, under what circumstances he probably had to work around, assisting on that. And when we had him, it was not like that. We were more, toned down, not a lot of people hanging in the control room at all. You know what I mean? And we were just in the room recording. And so that gave probably him a bit more positive to deliver a good product, even though we were wacky as fuck. You know what I mean? We're really young,
Now, Noise Records was known to sign bands like Voivod, Celtic Frost, Creator. What made DPriest decide to sign to Noise Records?
Mordred. Yeah. Gamma Ray. Yeah. I have no idea, but for us, it was the way we got signed was that we met up with we went to Donington Castle to go see Iron Maiden and Kiss and Guns N' Roses and all that. And I was hanging with some friends there that I'm not going to mention their names again. And we apparently were being sought out by a guy named Carl, who had a record company in Germany. And it was Carl Ulrich Walterbach, who's just the president of Noise Records, And I had no fucking idea who Noise Records was and all that. All I know is I was out there partying it up. So I ended up meeting up with him, and we were. It's a party environment, so you got to imagine it's a festival. People are hanging out, and he said he was interested in the band and all that, and I had something if I had anything to play. And I think all I had was like a rehearsal cassette, and we went to a rent-a-car. And I played him, I think, no more than 3 minutes. He goes, okay. He goes, you will sign with Noise Records, and that's how it started. In the rent-a-car. So, and the rest is history.
Now, when Noise Records wanted London to change the name to DPriest, what was your initial reaction to that idea?
Well, my initial reaction was, it sounds like Judas Priest. And to me, it was kind of like, it was kind of cringy for a minute. And then I thought, these fucking guys are going to fucking hate this shit, changing the name, And it wasn't really that it was up to them. We were under a contract, so we had to do what we had to do to make the label, to be happy and cool with the label, so we get what we need and get that support. So the label was willing to reprint everything, which blew me away. You know what I mean? Because they they pressed a single vinyl in Europe. They put Hot Child in the City, Heartbeat, and Ride You Through the Night on a 12-inch, vinyl, and then they did it on CD. And then in the United States, they did, the Playa del Rock, and then they also had a single. But they were willing to change all of that, just to reprint everything and put it under DPriest. So it didn't go well with the members, the players at the time, and so that cost me a lot of grief. And I think that basically made the band explode on the road. I think that was the wound that some of these players. But what these players didn't realize is that it wasn't up to them, and they didn't own the rights to it, and they didn't own the publishing, and they were players. They were not, main writers. They should have been happy, and we had a deal, and things were going good. It wasn't like, things were bad and shit was going down the toilet. We were just taking off, and we basically went up in the air, and then boom, crash landed. It's just a fucking horrible story. I really dread, a lot of what happened, because it was just really rock star bullshit by some, and I'll never work with those people again. So.
Do you still have a recording of your version of My Way, Your Way, Anything Goes Tonight?
No, I don't. And then if there was a copy, that would be probably when I played it with Izzy at LAX Records, and we did it a few times there at rehearsal, because that was his song, and we didn't mind playing the song, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I think Izzy would have that if he would ever put it out there, or he would be the guy to have it.
That would be cool to hear.
If not, I'm sure somebody would already offer me some money. Oh, and I do have a version. I have the low five, medium five, and the high five. $500. How much are you going to pay for it, bro? No, I.
Now, you've recorded and played a bunch of covers, which are all incredible in my opinion. Of course, Oh Darling, Hot Child in the City, Shout at the Devil, I'm 18. Have you ever considered releasing a cover album or EP or something like that?
18. Well, I did sing I'm 18, but where did you hear that?
You would do it like live at shows time to time, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah. Live, I did it with Lizzie. I did it because Lizzie loved Alice Cooper.
Yes.
And Lizzie liked 18, and it was really fun to do. And yes, I did enjoy playing that with him. No, I think that's been the problem with Nadir DPriest. I think Nadir DPriest would probably get a lot more shit going on if I would have been a little bit more open to singing cover songs. But I'm really, really minimal on the cover fucking thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was not that guy. I know a lot of great singers out there, like, there's Andrew Freeman, who sings in that Rock Ball show, who knows, he has a catalog of cover songs. I unfortunately don't have that. But because I came from the school of, I need to work on my publishing. You know what I mean? That was always the deal for me. I need to add more songs and more songs and more songs, and I need to be the writer. Because I remember a guy I worked with, his name was Bob, he would say, you need to be the writer. It doesn't do you any good you playing somebody else's music. You're not going to make money. You need to get Hollywood. You need to get going on that. And that's it. And it was true. Most of the the musicians that are out there, they're not even the main writers. You got like 10 fucking people writing one song.
Mm-hmm.
One line per guy. I don't know how that works. But yeah, man. Yeah, that's basically it.
Now, how was it jamming with John Stamos at Seal Beach, California Rock Jam in 2016?
Oh, that was a treat. John Stamos is a rock star, man. You
Yes.
fucking walk around him and vaginas start flying across. Whew. I was like, this is John Stamos, motherfucker. It was great. He's a really good drummer, and I was there with my friend Lanny Cordola, which is on my Spanish solo album. A lot of that guitar is him, and we had a really, really, really good time, man. I really enjoyed that night. We had a blast. Um, he's always doing music stuff, so it was a lot of cool people hanging out. It was packed. It was a great night.
Very awesome. Now, how did Nadir in London get featured in Rolling Stone magazine? The photo was taken by Mark Segler, and I believe Sebastian Bach was on the cover.
Oh, that. Well, I was approached. I don't even remember if it was Mark or Mark's assistant and all that, and that actual photo shoot was done in my house. And I lived right in that corner, right next to, literally 1 block south of 7-Eleven on Sunset in Highland, in Highland area. So we did it at that house where I lived at, and actually that house was where all the Playa Rock stuff was basically worked on, in that same house. But I had no furniture, so I had a lot of space. So we did them in the shower. As you can see, some of the guys there are my ex-roommates, and some of them were just guys who were staying at the house, and that was just a real good treat. I haven't seen those photos in years, but I know that Sebastian's on the cover, and I'm in that Mercedes, and there was another photo of me wearing these crazy glasses, but I haven't seen any of the stuff in years, in over 20 years.
Now, how did Black and White end up with Rainbow Bar and Grills, and do you receive royalties off their version?
They stole it. It was stolen by, basically it was stolen by a guy named Tony Recasino. He was my manager, per se at the time, and he hooked me up with these guys. There was a black dude and a white dude. I don't remember their names and all that, but those lyrics are mine. Those came out of my mouth, and he basically was just taking pieces and writing all that stuff down. And you can hear the guitar. That's Glamour Girls. Okay, Rainbow Bar and Girls is actually Glamour Girls. Okay, that's the song. And you can hear Here She Comes, taking you out. It's a Glamour Girl. I seen you last night at the Rainbow Bar and Grill. You tell me my thrill. You want to give me a thrill. I got a black Chrysler. We turn Hollywood. So all that shit is mine. It's about my ex-girlfriend, my black car, my Chrysler that I crashed on my way to the Capitol Records press conference for the metal years. So this guy's basically, Tony took a U-Haul truck of ours with all those Laney amps that you see in pictures and those heads and cabinets, and stole the master of the recording, went to New York, and somebody had mentioned to me, I think I've said this story before, somebody told me they heard me on the radio, and I said, that's impossible. I'm not on the radio. Fucking stressing because, it wasn't doing so good at that point. And I thought they were pulling my leg, and so I heard it, and sure enough, it's Lizzie and I singing, and that was it. And we contacted him to basically cease and desist, and he did, but he got $150,000 from Atlantic Records. Ooh. I got nothing, dude. I was living, literally out of coins at that point. So it was pretty jabbing for us to find out that we didn't get any of that money. He did. And $150,000 for one fucking song was a lot of money. But at that time, there was no real big hip-hop thing. Remember, it was Rapper's Delight, and it was Aerosmith, Walk This Way, and that was it. And then there was that song, For Atlantic to give him just out cold on a master like that, it's fucking great deal. Too bad, I didn't get any of it, or Lizzie. You didn't get anything. But that's the story behind that.
Well, thank you very much for your time. That was a lot of fun and very informative.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you having me on your show. Thank you again. It's great time always. All right. Well, if you want to send me a link to it so I can hear it, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Now, could I get you to do a well, it'll be censored on my radio show, but when I put it on YouTube, obviously it'll be uncensored. So.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. No problem, man. Well, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate it, my friend.
Yes. Could I get you to do a
Thank you
station
for more
ID for my
stuff
show?
coming up.